Hello all, welcome again to another episode of Hashtag Fully Booked Meets. You have myself, Mace.
Myself, French.
Myself, Andrew.
And I'm delighted, not just because he's my brother from back in the day, but I know he's on big things. I'm delighted to welcome to the Hashtag Fully Booked Meets podcast, Mr. Daniel Bailey.
Oh, fam.
Welcome, man, welcome. It's good to have you.
Thank you, man. It's good to be here.
Yeah,
man.
So Daniel, one of the reasons that I kind of harassed the boys to have you down is because I know you're making a lot of noise in kind of the theatre production world. So I want to go over kind of your history, how you got into it and stuff like that. But if you just give us a quick introduction to what you do right now, what your kind of day consists of, and what you're aiming to do at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a theatre director by trade. Also a dramaturg, which is a German word, which basically means someone who looks at scripts, edits them, and then kind of gives that feedback. And my day-to-day is different every single day. Literally, I've been in Birmingham today, back to London. I'm at the Bush Theatre tomorrow. I'm at the Hampstead Theatre the day after. So my days change day to day. But I direct plays mainly. I do a lot of talent spotting and a lot of talent development. So encouraging people to become writers, directors, theatre makers, you name it. Anything that kind of pushes people into the theatre world. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm there. The plug.
Excellent. Yeah. And we kind of grew up in similar backgrounds. So what kind of pushed you down that route? I mean, I only started getting into the theatre myself in my 20s, if I'm honest. And it was just like, I think it probably coincided with the kind of people who maybe I was working alongside who grew up slightly different to me. And it really opened up my mind and my eyes to like a different type of cinematic experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for you to be in this realm, working in this realm, what drove you down that way? I mean, were you an actor when you were younger, drama school, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a kind of like an urban myth that black people don't go to theatre. Mm. And as much as some of it is partly true, the thing is I guess we are theatre. We perform every day. So in every part of our lives we perform. I think we are the biggest and the baddest performers, you know, in music, in sports, entertainment. Anything you think about what we do, we're in public facing, we are performing. Mm-hmm. And I think we in this country, we believe it to just be a kind of white middle class thing. And really, I had a couple of teachers. I went Brentside, and I had a couple of teachers who saw that I was an entertainer, and that, you know, I'd be the joker of the room, and it kind of pushed me into more performance style and giving me something to kind of channel that thing, that extra bit of I guess excitement or whatever. They pushed me into that kind of realm of performance. So I performed quite a bit, but I didn't really understand that you know, young people could be directors. But that's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to create things. I wanted to make things. I wanted to give people platforms. And I thought the best way to do that would be by acting. So I went to college. I studied performing arts, which entailed everything. Like, I wouldn't have said this back in the day, but I was dancing, I was singing, even though I can't sing. I was like, I was doing voice. I was doing, we had a teacher that used to get us down and do some military kind of drills, just so physically we were in shape and we had the endurance to kind of perform for an amount of time. So it was similar to sports and that, so I could see the kind of transferable things that I had. And so I did that for a while, and then there was a point in time where I was like, do I go drama school or do I go uni? Mm-hmm. And you might have remembered this, but something happened around the time when we was about 18. Something kind of big happened. There's a lot of people that went to prison at the time. Yeah. Certain things, and I hadn't applied for drama school, and I hadn't gone for my auditions. But there was a university that I attended. I went to like a summer school, and they were like, "Yo, we want you back. Come back. Do a 3-year course with us. It's a brand new course, but come and do it with us." Mm. So I went there. I went to Brunel, and I studied there for 3 years, and that kind of set me on the path to becoming a director.
Excellent. And how many plays thus far have you directed?
Wow, gosh,
I can't.
I couldn't even tell you. I'd have to reel them off, and it'll probably get boring for all of you lot to sit here and listen to me reading off the different the amount of plays that I've directed
or what you even worked on.
I've worked on several plays, man. More so worked on them than probably directed. I'm trying to limit the amount I direct, actually, so I can direct maybe 2 or 3 shows a year and just make sure that they're quality. But like, all right, put it in figures. This year alone, I've directed. I will direct by the time October comes 5 plays.
Okay.
Which is a lot of time. If you spend like 4 weeks in a rehearsal room, over 52 weeks, and you spent 4 weeks, times that by 5. My maths ain't the greatest.
20.
There you go. So 20 weeks, half of my year, I've been in rehearsal rooms, and that's not to mention the ones that I've just stepped in and kind of helped shape or give someone a shape or help people develop their own style of directing, whatever else. But there's quite a few, yeah.
And sorry, I'll let someone take the floor. It's not just a one-on-one conversation. But so growing up, did you, obviously we're fully booked, and we like to know what kind of, apart from other influences, maybe it's like other actors, maybe it's other people you've seen performing, maybe it's people around you. Aside from that, we like to know about other factors that might have influenced how your kind of career, or how your working life's gone. Are there any books growing up that kind of that inspired you to want to go down that road, inspired you to know that you can get into this world? You said there's a common myth, which I'm sure you grew up with in maybe your early teens, that only the middle class are kind of involved in the theatre, and that could have plagued you basically, and said, well, I can never be involved. Was there any books that maybe helped to inspire you besides maybe your positive influence, like, I don't know, parents and friends?
Yeah, there was a book, and it had nothing to do with drama. It really had nothing to do with drama or the performing arts in any shape or form. It was a very obvious book that everybody's probably read here in this space. If you ain't read it, my God. But The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, like that was a massively influential book for me. And I think purely because it just gave me the drive, it allowed me to kind of understand my own power, my own truth, and it just pushed me to kind of take the next step and kind of journey into the unknown, just like the character does. I can't remember his name. Santiago, something like that. Santiago.
Was,
So yeah. Santiago, he kind of takes this journey, man, and once he gets on the journey, he can't turn back, which is the brilliance of it. Is because he's gone so far now, he actually cannot turn back. So every day is a new journey, is a new day, and I think that was the thing that kind of just gave me the empowerment to say, jump on it, man, do it. Do something that no one else around you does.
Yeah. How old were you when you read this book, and who introduced you?
Oh God, I don't know if I can tell you who introduced me, just in case my missus is listening.
Okay, like that.
No,
It's political. Don't want to get no one in trouble still.
No, actually, no. I'll big her up still. There was another actress who I was working with at the time called Alicia Charmaine Price, who had the book, and she used to go on about it all the time. And she introduced, like a lot of us, we get introduced to books by the women that kind of guide us, or that are with us, mums, aunties, sisters, lovers, whatever. So she kind of introduced me to the book in my really early 20s. Okay. And that was the thing that made me kind of latch on and kind of discover my own power.
Did you have a love for reading prior to reading The Alchemist?
Yo, I hated reading, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, I loved it when I was a kid, but as I got into school, I was really illiterate. Like I was in bottom sets, man. So it became a bit of a barrier to me actually reading, and I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why I needed to do it. I didn't quite understand the power of books at the time. So me and books weren't friends for a long time. And then as I got through college, I had a really good teacher called Zavrina Wilson, who used to put books on us and give us plays, which were much easier to read because I could understand that text. It was text that people would talk, people would speak. So dialogue, I was
conversation.
Like, I understood that. I got everything out of the dialogue. I got everything out of the text. I didn't need to read like long didactic passages that would swirl around what the hell they wanted to get to. The character would just say what they wanted.
Yeah, straight to the point.
Straight to the point. And like now when I encourage young people to read, I give them a play. 50, 60 pages, they can get into it, they get a story, they get the understanding of it, they take what they want from it, and but it encourages them to read. So that was the thing that got me into it, and it would be a cliche for me to say, yo, theatre saved my life, but it really did. It really did. So from reading plays and predominantly reading text, I started reading books because you'd have to research.
Yeah.
So, you know, you read a play about, I don't know, Egypt, or you read a play about Nigeria, and then suddenly, you know, you're reading, I don't know, I'm just reel off something like Ant Hills of the Savannah, or you're reading, you know, you're reading Chimamanda Ngozi, like you're reading one of those plays because you're trying to understand the I guess, the context. The background, the context of the play, you know, who those people were. And you get that through books more so than anything else. Even, you know, more so than films, because books allow you to get to delve in.
I think with books, it allows you to be creative yourself. I was going to ask you as well, like when reading, I guess, a book and a script, because I've never thought about reading a script. But now that you think about it, if I was to read a script, I would have those characters in my head whilst reading, and I would have a picture of how those same characters would look, and I'll have a certain dialect of how they look. So just doing that from reading the script is quite, I guess, creative in itself. And almost, I'm actually going to look into it. But is there any scripts where you can go or just buy a normal script and just read it just for the sake of reading it? Do they have places like that?
Yeah. So I work at the Bush Theatre in Shepherd's Bush. We've got a script library.
The library. That's my old library. Still.
That's your old library. So that library's turned into a theatre now.
I just went there recently.
Yo, bro, please. If you want to, like, the library's open, just pick a book off the shelf. It's mostly plays by people of colour, because that's how the
theatre I went to see a black play as well.
So just pick up a book and it's free. Like, you know, it's open to the public. Yeah, of course. Remember, it's the library, so we had to kind of keep that. We had to keep the same essence that they had with the library, of people coming in and engaging with books. We've got the same thing in the library. So you spend an hour and you've gone through a book. You've got the same story as you would have got if you read The Alchemist, which took you 5, 6, 7 hours, 2, 3, 4 days, a week.
That took me a day still.
Yo, same. I had to do it in a day. I had to do it in a day.
The book was serious.
I think I was traveling. I can't remember. I think I was traveling maybe South Africa. Somewhere. I was traveling somewhere far.
Yeah.
By the end of that route, I'd done the book. I couldn't believe it.
Proper.
But you can go online. A lot of the plays that are out will be online, and some of them are free. Like, you'll get a really early draft of a play online. So the resources, I mean, there's no excuse, but the resources are there. But if you don't know, you don't know, right?
Yeah, you don't know, because I wasn't aware of that at all. Because I actually went to Bush Theatre a few weeks ago with my mum and brother, and we saw a play. It was a black
Strange Fruit.
play. Strange Fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. What was your involvement in that?
So that was programmed before we got there. I got there in March, but it was programmed from our kind of predecessors. So I didn't have much involvement, but we tried to help them shape the play a bit more. We gave our initial feedback, but it was the previous artist director who was there who kind of programmed it.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay, cool. You want to ask another question?
No, I was going to ask my question. He answered it very well. You answered it very well. As in regards to you saying that you didn't. So you said you're in the bottom sets, and then you didn't actually have an interest in reading until a teacher. You mentioned someone gave you the book.
Yeah.
But you got a script, and I was sitting there wondering. I'm not too sure if you mentioned, Mason, that he was involved in education as well, or I might be thinking about someone else. And I was just thinking, you may or may not have. But have you passed on maybe some of those? I'm going to say gems, if I'm honest, because there's a lot of people who like probably are in your position where they're in bottom sets and they do have that creative gene in them, and at some point, like the rest of us, we may not have started reading at a very early age, but come 16 plus, we got heavily into reading, and I don't know, maybe it might be something that might inspire people to grab a book or grab a script, and then get into reading a bit more sooner.
Of course. Well, this is the reason why I'm here.
Yeah, of course.
So these gems, hopefully these gems will pass on to many and loads of others. I work with young people. I haven't stopped working with young people. I was a youth worker prior to being a director. I was a youth worker in Ladbroke Grove. So I always try to encourage the young people to write their own scripts, because it's so much easier for a young person to want to read their own stuff out or to want to pass their own stuff over, because they're with a community of young people who understand that. So, writing lyrics is a form of script, is a form of storytelling, is a form of literature. So, in everything that we do, I encourage people that I work with, or young people that I encounter, to read. I'm going to a school which actually one of my friends went to when he went to go play for Arsenal, Times Park, And at the time, it was a predominantly white school. It's changed a little bit now over the time, but I'm going there for Black History Month to talk to them about theatre and again literature.
So at school in Chingford.
Yeah.
I remember those stories you guys just told me about.
You
I
know,
remember the stories. I never
you're
went.
getting chased out of Chingford, man, because we were too black. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm going. It's
Fun memories,
but I'm going. It's full circle.
Yeah.
So I know someone I used to be a youth worker with. She's now a teacher there, and she's the one who's like actually coming. I'd love you to come and talk to some of our young people about like your journey. So I'm going for Black History Month, and it's like I said to her, it's full circle. My little cousins go there now.
Wow.
Like, my little cousins go there, and they talk to me often about the politics of the school, but they don't know it like how I knew it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good. It's good to go back and kind of hopefully learn from them, and also drop some gems or whatever.
So as it at the moment, I know obviously you do scripts and everything. How often do you read a fiction or a non-fiction book?
Almost every month if I can fit it in.
Okay.
At the moment, I've read like this month has been the month of reading. August, more predominantly. So I've been I read for many different companies. So I read about 100 scripts over a month. I've read roughly about 100 scripts. But every so often, I try and fit a little novel in or a self-help book. And I'm part of a book club called Love of Culture Book Club. And at the moment, we're about to read Afropean.
That's new, isn't it?
It's pretty new.
It's got a few good reviews.
Yeah, and the writer's coming in to come and talk to us about that book.
Dope.
I've just read Safe, which is by Derek Owosu, which is another. It's Safe. It's all in the title. It's about black men reclaiming space. It's an anthology of about 22 essays
Okay.
about black men's experience, really, and like
What,
the
across the
diversity
globe?
of black men. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, in the UK,
Okay.
so it's much more specific, much more pointed to our experiences.
Okay.
But it's all across the UK. So you've got black men from Hull, having conversations.
Yeah.
Is that very similar to the? I forget the name of the book that we just mentioned, the European one, Afropean?
Yeah, I haven't started reading Afropean yet, but I feel like it's probably the same in regards to it being an essay about black experience or a kind of mixed race experience, mixed race identity within the UK. So I look forward to seeing it and to reading it and seeing how he responds to our questions, and yeah, man, what comes out of that.
Do you write as well? Do you write plays?
Yeah, I haven't written in a bit though.
Okay.
I guess when I've had a child and this is my greatest excuse. So I've got a little boy and he's 4 years old and he demands a lot of time.
Congrats.
So thank you, brother. So my greatest excuse is that I don't have the capacity or the brain to write. But secretly, I am squirreling away. I've always got things, ideas. I always write moments, whatever comes into my head. Sometimes it's the beginning of a play. Sometimes it's the beginning of a book of some sort. But yeah, I'm always writing, in all honesty. But I also say to the public, nah, I haven't written in about 4 years, man.
This is going to sound like a bit of a silly question.
Yeah.
Cause
Nothing's ever silly.
Because what I was going to ask just before that was, I don't know, you might have answered it in some way, shape or form, was how did you actually get into directing? Because obviously we spoke about you acting and having that creativity,
Yeah.
but what led you to actually thinking, you know what, I can see these pictures, etc., or I can form this picture and that picture and then bring them together?
Yeah. Well, as I said, I went into youth work, and the reason why I went into youth work is because I was chickening out. I was going to go straight into education, and I was going to go into. I always used to have this conversation with the people that taught me, and this is probably why I was never encouraged to kind of do work, because I used to be like, you got a business teacher there, and I was like, how have you ever done business? I sell more Pokemon cards than you do. Like, I make more money than you in school right now than you do teaching me. So how are you teaching me about business when you ain't ever done it before? And I always used to have that attitude. You know what I'm saying? You got school teachers, PE teachers that went straight from university into PE. And like, how do you teach someone about the world as well as the profession without actually having done it? So my whole thing was like, let me go to a youth club, let me work there. I ended up working in 3 years because I wanted to go back into education. but I also wanted to work with young people who people would deem, quote unquote, hard to reach, difficult, etc.,
I
etc.
enjoyed working with.
Because they got the most creativity,
of course,
and we speak the same language.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
You're relatable.
You know what I'm saying? You come in with a new pair of crepes, they know.
Yeah.
Straight away.
Certain pair of jeans or whatever. It's like, so it's got the true religion. So
that's the opening. You've got a conversation straight off the back of that.
Yeah.
So I went into youth work and I was like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. And often you're leading a space, right? Often you're leading with young people. And you're leading with young people who have chosen to be there, unlike school where you have to be there. So I was like, that is going to be paramount to like how I teach. And I'm going to use this approach in my teaching. And at that point in time, I was acting at the same time. So I got myself an agent, luckily. I was going up for roles. I was doing feature films. And people started seeing me about. But I knew I still didn't have the necessary training. So I went and done some training. But the kind of rat race I wasn't feeling, man. I'd been a hustler from the back end. I'd been a hustler from back, before I went to university. So I wasn't used to waiting for my change. I didn't want to wait, man. I was too impatient. But I always had ambition to kind of put people on. That's what man used to do back in the day. So why not put people on in this sort of thing? So I started doing like acting coaching and going to a university and teaching there with my mentor Rob Whitelock. He's a brilliant actor, and he used to do some directing classes. And when he would teach these guys how to direct, I'd be like, I know all of this already. So really, I'm in the back of the class being arrogant. Even though it's not my class, I'm actually here to teach. I'm here to act for these guys, to teach them how to direct. And I was learning all those skills for free. I'll tell you another thing about learning for free. But I was learning all those things for free. These guys are paying for it. They were paying for these directing classes. I was learning for free. So I used to take all those skills, and I came back to the youth club, and I was trying to do little performances here and there for the young people that turn up. And a friend of mine wrote this play, and it weren't good, man.
Sorry, friend.
Yo, brother, I love you, and if you ever see this, I love you. But it weren't good. But he was trying to do something, and he had something to say.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that captured me. So he was like, "Yo, I know you know about theatre. I know you know about drama. Can you help me make this thing?" But I was also in it. So I was like, "How do I do that?" But essentially, I was like a co-director, helping him understand, that the techniques of drama and instill that onto the rest of the cast as well as be in it. So from that point there, there's a brilliant filmmaker called Sheila Naughtley. If you ever check her out, she's done amazing things. She's worked for numerous companies with, big productions and so on and so forth. She asked me to come in and do some acting coaching for a film that she was doing. And essentially what I had done, I didn't know this, but what I had done was direct the film. Even though it wasn't shot, so I was directing the scenes. So they would, they filmed it. I was away, I was abroad, and then I got a message from the director who was like, "Yo, thank you so much. You've basically directed the film, and I've just done the technical thing of finding the shots." So in my head, that was the kind of transition where I was like, "Yo, actually, really, I can direct." And I scoured like looking for any black male directors who were young. Couldn't find any, man. They were out there, but I just hadn't found them. So I started doing music videos. Like I directed Linus's music video. I started doing a short film for my boy Sanchez. Like I started doing loads of little things that are online now. You can catch them, I'm sure, on YouTube. But and that kind of allowed me to cut my teeth a little bit. And then I started writing my own stuff. Started writing about our experiences of where we came from, and then just putting people in it.
My silly question actually was, what's the difference between writing and directing?
Nothing silly, bro. Nothing is ever silly. But we did when you're filming, you're basically when you're directing film, you're basically both. Like you're directing those scenes, you're directing those shots, and you're also kind of writing in the moment. Because if you got no money, you got to make something work. If you can't get a space or something, you got to make something work there. So you're rewriting in your mind there and then. Do you know what I'm saying? So in the theatre world is very different. You're a writer, you train as a writer usually, or you go to programs that kind of develop you as a writer, and then you kind of hand over your play, and then the director takes it, interprets it, and then puts it on. So the kind of the fundamental things is one is a I guess one creates the kind of transcript or the blueprint, and then the other person builds. The director kind of builds it. You know what I'm saying? So the director becomes, so one's the architect and the other's the builder.
You
almost.
understand? Okay.
So yeah, sometimes you're both.
Yeah, so I guess it's key really that the architect, well, the writer and the and the director,
personal
it's key that like they kind of share the same vision, because that director really has to. It's all good having someone direct what you've written, but they could direct it and it's just awful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, you gotta have the same way, but you gotta really work, have a kind of relationship, like a key relationship.
Gotta be
right?
sync.
Often,
Yeah, in sync.
yeah.
Yeah.
Often you'll see the difference. You'll see that relationship not work. Majority of plays, I think, in my own experience, including my own plays, you'll see when the director and the writers absolutely are in sync, succinct, and everything kind of comes together, and it just feels like you don't know who's the writer or who the director is, because it's so, it's like
Effortless.
so effortless. And there's moments where you're like, I know that the director has definitely put this concept on this piece of writing, and sometimes it didn't need it, or sometimes it bloody well needed it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you see sometimes when it works in tandem, and sometimes when it is awful, and that's just natural. That will happen, within your career as a writer or within your career as a director. The only thing is that people get discouraged and stop writing or stop directing because they haven't found that relationship.
I hear that, man.
So see, when you're reading, should I say, how do you read? Do you, I guess when you're reading a script, do you read right through it, or do you stop and take notes, or do you start from the middle, start from the end, what's your
Method.
method, should I say?
So this, that's a very good question, and I'll tell you why it's a very good question, because I always encourage readers of scripts to read right the way through. So in one sitting, make sure you got your time, 2 hours, whatever it is. If it's 120 pages, like put out 2 hours of your time to read right the way through. That way you see it as a whole picture. But the way life is set up right now, sometimes it takes me 2 days to go through, a script that's like 60 pages because life is busy.
Of course.
And so you've got times where you're trying to do 3,000 things at once. But ideally, what I like to do is just read right the way through the play, so I can see it, I can visualize it, or try and get some sort of idea of who these characters are, what the context is, like what the world is of the play or of the thing that I'm reading. Try and see what the point is, and like whether it touches me. Because when you break it up, sometimes you don't get the full, you don't experience the full emotion of what the thing's trying to do, because you've broken it up. So you've forgotten what happened on page 3, and by page 64 now you're going, oh yeah, they're making reference to what happened on page 3, but I forgot that. So yeah, and it's a detriment to the writer sometimes that you haven't read it right the way through. But usually I try and read it right the way through.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about, do you take notes as well whilst going along?
Yeah. If I'm doing it, if I've read it a couple of times, I'm always taking notes, because it's the notes that I'm going to end up feeding back to the writer, who's then going to either have to change the play, create a new draft. So depending on what the time span is, if someone's like, quick turnaround, you've got 2 hours, I need to get some notes in before I go abroad or I go and work on another project, I'm writing notes as I'm reading.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it breaks up a little bit, but it's fresh in your mind, the notes that you've got.
Yeah.
And even if you ask questions at the beginning of your play, you're just waiting for them to be answered by the end.
Of course.
So, you write those notes and you're going, all right, these are the questions that I'm getting here. I don't quite understand this. By the end, you're going, okay, cool. 5 of these questions are answered. The other 10 are not. So those are the notes that I'm now going to give to the writer to go,
Welcome.
yeah, work on these 10 notes. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You mentioned earlier, there was a couple of things, just going back, but you mentioned, which stuck in my mind. One of them, you said about your trip to South Africa, and that led me onto in my mind that you're a guy that likes traveling. Am I correct?
Yeah.
How would you say, so the first question is, how would you say you're traveling?
Traveling.
How would you say your traveling inspires your A, writing and B, directing? And secondly, completely different, well, slightly separate subjects, you also mentioned about the fact that you started to read some self-development books, self-help books.
Yeah.
What is your go-to or has been your go-to self-development or self-help book that's influenced you the most? So 2 separate questions there.
Cool. I think traveling, oh man, it's everyone's right to travel, man. I don't care if you got a criminal record. If you can travel, yo, listen, because certain places you can't go, right?
Yeah, we know that, yeah.
But even if you got that limitation of not having the right to hit a certain country, yo, there's 100 other countries that you can hit. Do you know what I'm saying? So the experience of just moving from one place to another, yeah, like the physical, what it does to you physically, obviously it tires you out, but you're in a different time space zone. What it does to you mentally, that you can just kind of, you know, you're not at home. So if someone calls you and is like, yo, I need you to go and do X, yo, you're 1,000 miles away. I physically can't get to you. So your brain your brain's already said to you, all right, cool, let that go. And suddenly you start unburdening yourself with so many different things. And you're just in the moment. Suddenly you're heightened, everything's heightened. You know, your sense of awareness, your sense of like purpose, like where you need to go, like just to get some food, like survival starts to kick in, and all these other things start to kick in.
It's Santiago now.
Yo, this is what I'm saying. But it's true, though, isn't it? But it's true. It's true. Like all of these things start to kick in, so you start to have adventures, which leads you to having different experiences, which then leads you to becoming the person that you are, develops you. You know, you start to understand cultures more. You understand yourself so much more. South Africa in particular touched me. Obviously, it's the bottom of the motherland. But just going back and like you can feel the history, you can smell it, you can see it when you walk down the street. You experience it in a club. You experience it in a shop. You experience it in bargaining or bartering with a man or with a woman on the street, and like all of that kind of. Even subconsciously you take it on, you take on those experiences and you live through them, and you acknowledge them as an experience, and like that has informed me and my practice so much. So I'm always thinking about where I go to next. I'm always thinking about the people that I encountered when I'm writing. You know, there's so many people that when I go to Jamaica, we call certain people sample man, which means there's only one of them. Do you know what I'm saying? And then like, I'm in a sample man. So it's so really, yeah. So the sample people that you meet, you're like, yo, there's only one of you. I'm never gonna meet you again, or I might meet you again, but I'm never gonna forget this interaction. And suddenly that kind of feeds into the characters. Or when I'm directing, I'm going, I can picture that place. Not only have I seen it, I've been there, I lived there for a week or so. So I know what that means. So yeah, man, that's been one of the strongest influences on me as a person, as a maker, as a creative. And then the book that I always go to is a book called The Chimp Paradox.
Yeah, I know, I've heard of that.
It's a bad boy book by Professor Steve Peters. And it's a mind management book. But a friend of mine's was going for a relationship thing, and he was like, yo, this is the book that I'm reading. It's helped me to understand my relationship a bit more. It's also helped me to break up my relationship. But he needed it at the time, and he was like, yo, I'm passing this on to you because I think you're doing so much right now. Like, you just need to focus your mind a bit. And essentially the premise is like, we've all got this chimp inside us, and it's a really basic concept. But when you hear him talk about it and talk through it, you go, "Yeah, cool, I see it."
I'm definitely aware of it.
Yeah,
so it's an interesting concept.
The chimp is kind of like our emotional. It's kind of like our emotional part of the emotional part of our brain, and then you, the person, is kind of the logical. But a lot of the time, we let the chimp take over.
Like chatter, like constant chatter.
Constant chatter. But like constant, like he talks about flight, fright.
Yeah, flight or fight.
Or fight.
Yeah.
And like your chimp's always on survival instincts. So how you interact with people is survival instincts. Like there's nothing considered. It's all instinctive, which is good in some areas.
It's reactive.
Yeah. So when you're in South Africa and a man's talking to you to come over to the corner and you're thinking, rah. Yo, the chimp, you're like, yo, chimp, where are you right now? And the chimp saying, yo, cut out as fast as you can. Great, the chimp works in that moment. you're in a scenario where there's 10 police officers surrounding you. You don't want the chimp to get involved. Then you want the logical brain to come in and tap in and go, all right.
Chatting to Chris about this last night, he was saying like the problem. Actually, he might have said black people. Actually, is that
He said black people, bro.
no. He might
Keep it a buck, man. He said black people.
He may well have said black people. Is that we try? Well, let's say people. All right. Try to say like we try to like let our logic take over our emotions, and it shouldn't be that way. You know what I mean? Emotions are here. Logic is here. I mean, he broke it down so well. I mean, you broke it down very well, to be fair, and given good examples. But I mean, it was phenomenal. I mean, I probably got to read that book. But he was talking about another book, if I'm honest.
Yeah, for sure. Read it because he doesn't try to let you. He's like, you can't excel the chimp. You get like you can't
get rid of it.
Yeah, you can't, like, the chimp's not gonna. You're not gonna send it over there and lock it up, or like he talks about walking your chimp. He talks about talking to your chimp. Because through that way you get to balance, innit? You get to balance the emotion, you get to balance the logic. And then usually you come up with something more wise, something more considered, something more thought out. So he just talks about how you live in tandem with that thing that we all have. He talks about mental health and how, when you see it, like after reading the book, I understood mental health in a different way. So I was like, yeah, I can see that this person over here, their chimp is taking complete control, and they can't bring it back. Like, they just can't bring it back.
See, when you're was you going to ask us something?
Yeah, well, because I think it's probably still on topic. You may have answered it in some way, shape, or form. I was going to ask you, what do you prefer reading, whether it's self-help books or non-fiction books?
Yeah.
Not non-fiction, fiction books. So apologies. In that, obviously, because you're working in a creative space, it may give you a different kind of like dynamic as such.
I think it just depends on the place that I'm at.
Okay.
So I'm reading loads of books by kind of black British authors because it's my experience, and also like I love American black books, but that's not all our experiences. So our experience is much more nuanced than that. And so I'm reading a lot of black authors at the moment that are kind of
names.
Yeah, Derek Owusu. At the moment, I'm reading Akala's book, Natives. Like, so those are the people that I'm getting into now. Renee with Why I'm No Longer Speaking to White People.
Yeah,
Why I'm No Longer Speaking. Yeah, that book's dope. But it's stuff that you already know, stuff that you experience in day to day. So sometimes you ask the questions like, is this book for me or is it for my white counterparts?
Yeah.
But like, I'm reading those books because, of course, just because of the experience. But like, I love a fiction book because then I become the god of that.
You
My
become
imagination.
the creator.
I become the creator. I become, and I ain't got a god complex, but it just means that I have the power to see or interpret this piece of writing as I want to interpret. So they might have written it with a white person in mind, but the way I'm seeing it now is a young black boy.
It's
or a
funny
young
you should say that because I read The Children of Blood and Bone.
Yeah, I've got that.
Yeah, it's a great book, and the author, I listened to a podcast of her. She was on a podcast and I listened to her talking, and she was explaining that when she used to read books, she would read the book with a black person in mind. Just instinctively, because you're just reading the words. It's your experience. This is the life you know. Like, this is the viewpoint of the world that you see.
Yeah.
But obviously then the author may be descriptive and may describe the person's skin color, which is fine.
Yeah.
And you adapt, and you now have that character in your head that has been put into the book. But just generally, as you just said, I guess you're the creator of your own story of the script, should I say, or the story that you're reading. And it's a very...
The mindset takes you somewhere else.
You become the god of this particular world.
It's mad because I remember, I don't even remember, it's Mason, we watched Gone Girl together.
Oh yeah.
We sound like
No, sound like
you went to Gone Girl.
It's cool, bro. We were with other people.
Nah,
can be vulnerable. It's cool. It's acceptable.
Okay.
We were with other people.
It's okay.
We just go,
Other guys.
Yeah, what's Gone Girl? No, it didn't quite work.
With more guys. You're double dating. You're double dating.
No,
it's fine. It's 2019.
It's okay.
No. Man's gone somewhere else.
We're progressive over here.
No, I can't remember who we watched it with. Watch it with girls. We did. That's not just me adding to the story. All right, I remember it was like. All right, and I remember during the what do you call it? During the film, because
What did Mace do? Give you some
Mace
popcorn.
was
Feed you some popcorn.
No, he didn't. Mace was like, see,
right next to you.
look what she's doing. See,
You sat right next to you.
He might have went like, he might have went across. All right, I can't remember. But he was like, see, look what she's doing, conniving. And when I don't know why I just loved the film, and I thought, I'm gonna buy the book. Bought the book, and every time when I was reading,
You thought of Mace when you're reading it.
Just move on. Let's move on.
Now we're here for you guys.
It was just like a case of you don't kill me. Let's move on. Let's move on.
I was gonna ask. See, when you're reading, do you read more than one book at a time or one script at a time?
Always.
Okay.
At the moment, I just said I'd like. On the way down, I'm reading 100 scripts at the moment.
Seriously.
So some I'm listening to, I put into a voice recorder app, and some I listen to, the ones that are a bit more confusing. I listen to them to see if I can just concentrate. So it's something that of your mind when you're sitting and you're reading something, yeah, and then when you can hear something in your ear, that you can then relax all the other senses,
Yeah.
and start to focus on another sense. So you've got the sense of hearing, obviously, and then you've got the sense of like your imagination that allows you to visualize things. And so when I'm working on something that's a bit more complex, I tend to put that into the app. But I read. I go, yeah, man. Sometimes I'm like I've got 1984 on the. I've got 1984 in the mix, yeah, man.
Yeah.
But I've got that in
That's
Audible.
one of my favorite books.
Yo.
Yeah. Serious.
And like it's so relevant now.
Oh, I say that to everyone all the time.
So
every
relevant.
year. Every year.
Every
It's
year
gonna
gets
be more relevant every year. Have you seen the film though?
Nah, I've never seen the film.
The film's nutty still.
I've never seen the film.
And it's funny because as you said, as we were just saying, like when you read books, you have a picture of what it's like.
Yeah.
So I've read the book prior to watching the film. And watching the film there is similar parts that it's described in such a way. But yeah, obviously the director had a different kind of mind of what I pictured when I was reading the book, which is great in itself anyway, because you'll have a different perspective of how it looks and things like that, certain characters. But yeah, no, I definitely recommend watching the film as well.
Which would you say it was in sync?
The film and the
Who'd you watch
Can
it
you
with?
ever? That's another question.
Who'd you watch it with?
by myself. By myself.
French is talking about me. Let's go.
Yeah, no, but I think that's a dope book though.
But can you ever? So I got a question for you. Have you ever read a book and then gone to see the film version of it?
Yeah. Yeah,
I know you just 1984.
1984, and what's the Hunger Games?
The Hunger Games.
The Hunger Games, the 3 books.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, they're dope. See, how I visioned the Hunger Games is, I wouldn't say totally different to the films, but it was totally different to the films.
yeah.
No, proper. I enjoy reading more than I'd watch a film.
Watch a film.
Yeah.
I'm the other way around. So I was watched Gone Girl and then read it.
Then read it.
Yeah.
I'm watching films.
Yeah.
Books. Yeah.
So, like, I just wonder. I guess how much you miss in a film if you've read the book. So, like, now that you've done it the other way around, so you saw Gone Girl the film and then watched the book and then read the book. So
blew it away. Blew the film away. Yeah, I thought it was phenomenal. The book.
Yeah. Did you get the same feat? Did it evoke the same emotions as the film?
I thought she's
more?
a bigger bitch. I was glued to this book. I didn't leave this book for a solid week. It was like, obviously a lot longer than the film itself.
Yeah.
I thought, nah. This is some madness. I gotta know what she did. This is mad. Yeah.
And same, when you read 1984 and then you saw the film, what did you feel? What did you feel the disparity between the two?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of parts of the book that was missing. But at the same time, I always understand in a film, there's only so much you can put in.
Yeah.
Like there's particular details that you wouldn't, I guess, necessarily take the time out to record on film because it may just be a passing moment.
Yeah.
It may just be a passing glance, which can't always be reciprocated in a film. So there's those little nuances that you do miss, but I can appreciate the film from such a great book anyway.
So like, imagine that now, them putting that on stage, because 1984 is a theatre production. I was
Okay.
reading it with the idea of like, whether I go back and try and adapt it to be
I'd
a
love to see
theatre
that.
production.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
So it's happened at Almeida, and I think it went to the West End. I'm not sure, but I need to do my research because I was thinking about what books I'd love to adapt.
Yeah. Yeah, I think George Orwell is a great author. I don't know if you've read Animal Farm as well.
That was the first book I ever
That's
read.
the same.
That-
same thing. School.
In my head.
Yeah, English.
I stole the book, man.
Yeah. It's a serious
I stole the book.
Yeah.
They was like, bring it back after you finish reading. No, I didn't bring that back. I still got my same notes in the book.
Yeah.
Still got it. When my son grows, I'm gonna push that in his. I'm gonna push that into his
seriously,
hand.
man.
One of the
Seriously.
greatest books, man. Definitely.
What about you, Mace? When you're reading or watching a film, like, do you see a big difference?
I think maybe my attention span's not as vast as both yours, but I prefer the film because it's just easier. If I'm honest, it's just easier for me for me to comprehend. I do agree though that like a book will go into that much more detail and it will like speak about what that person's feeling at the time, rather than on a film you've got to gauge it from their facial expression or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. I think even with the books, the author may put in, I guess, what the character's thinking, and you can't necessarily put that into a film, and without it being a bit like, okay, well, they've just gone from a dialogue to now you can actually hear their thoughts. Yeah. In a film, you can't really pull that off as easily.
I think the simplest way I would break it down is I can get lost in a book, really lost when you're reading it.
Yeah.
Literally, I can put it down for the evening, but the following morning or whatever, it's just
Pick straight back up.
it's still there somewhere, you know what I mean? Whereas a film, I can watch it hour and a half, even within the film, I'm not lost in the film, I'm just there, if that makes any sense. I'm following let's say the theme. And then after the film's finished, it won't stay with me for that long, if I'm being honest. Even if it's a real impactful film.
And that's why I feel theatre has a difference, because the theatre brings those two things together. Because you can't help but be in it. If it's a good play, you can't help but be in it and experience whatever that character's going through, because it's right there in
I
front
was
of you.
just going to say, yeah.
Like, it's right there in front of you. Yo, to the point where the sweat and the spit might touch you. Not that you want that to happen, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can feel it. You can feel the heat.
That is right there. And whatever struggle they're going through, physically, you're in it. You know, it's not been edited. It's right there in front of you, unedited, like, it's there. And so it kind of bridges the gap. It can't do as much as the film in terms of special effects. It can't do as much as the book in terms of in terms of the detail, but you experience what the characters are going through, and that's the theatrics of theatre, and that's why I love it. And like being able to adapt a book is one of the most incredible things. Like it's the most seen, it's one of the most kind of sought out, I guess, forms of work now is adaptations from books.
Okay.
Yeah, in theatre. And the ones that are mostly going into the West End are adaptations, i.e. Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold. Like, all of those things are getting adapted now. And for good reason, man. Yeah, Harry Potter's adapted for the stage. More magical than the films.
Do you know what my favourite, what's on that, sorry? My favourite theatre production I've seen thus far. I've seen a few that I've really liked. Do you know what my favourite one was? Sister Act.
Yeah.
That blew me away. That blew me, and I can't believe it's never come back. Like, I think I watched it in Covent Garden. I took my mum to watch it actually. And I don't get up and stand and clap at the end because my legs are just like that. I can't bother, bro. I got up straight while I shut up. I said, I proper enjoyed it. The film's okay, like Whoopi Goldberg, but I proper enjoyed it, bro. Like, proper. And I was like, and you're right. You're just saying, like, I was so immersed into the play. I proper loved it.
Yeah, man. It's an experience when you get it right. When it's right and you get it right, there's nothing. Whatever experience you want, man. It can give you everything. Like it can absolutely give you everything.
Why does it take us? I'm not gonna say. Oh God! Right.
Black people.
No.
Just say it, man.
No.
people.
I used the word us and thought you straight away.
Brown
Right?
people.
So
For me?
No, because he would say what he said. You know, he said exactly what I thought he was saying. So I was going to change the word to people. All right.
Block.
But I'll go with us. All right. So why does it take us so long to like find that feeling, the feelings that we're discussing now in regards to theatre and being immersed in the story and so on and so forth. Because I want to say, occasionally I'll talk about where I first started reading and who I started reading with, but it was with him. Like we'll get books and we'll exchange.
Who's
and so on.
him?
The camera.
It's a bit rude.
I didn't want to say his name. I did in case he. Anyway. Yes. All right.
Hey, you over there?
Yeah. So we would exchange books on and so forth. The Art of War, I think it was, and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And then gradually it went on to books that were slightly bigger. The 50th command. Anyway,
50th law.
Yeah, all that type of stuff, you know, and then so on and so forth. But I'm going to say we were 16, 17 at that point, you know, where it's probably too late not from an educational point of view, but you've now finished your GCSEs and stuff like that. Why I'm now interested in these books, I have no idea, but I'm thinking, why are we not interested in these type of stuff? 3, 4. Yeah, just a little bit earlier.
Do you know what? I can't remember what was you said,
Which
Daniel.
goes to what I was trying to say to you earlier as to... Anyway,
Dan, you said something and I can't remember what it was, but it triggered my mind and it came back to education. It came about how do you embrace young people who are from a certain background, just like you were saying, how like you're reading books because actually it's relative to your environment or it was relative to your environment, so you can really relate to it. It's the same for me in schools. It's a similar thing. Like, why are we not reading books? Why are we not doing history on? Why am I not finding out? Why am I not finding out about like? So I discovered recently on YouTube, there's these guys from Canada and they went and stayed with a Rasta man in Jamaica.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called for the life of me. But all he does for them is like he just cooks meals and he's
food.
I've
seen it.
He's deep in the country basically. He cooks proper like food, like everything.
everything.
Yeah, but at
Even
the same
their
time
breakfast. Breakfast.
Yeah. But at the same time, he's imparting knowledge on them and on the viewers and that. And I just like the way it proper engaged me because the way he speaks is how my granddad used to speak. Do you get what I'm saying? Like he'll just be like, "Yeah, man, mate, your wood's strong."
But those are the things that are relevant to them, innit? To a man,
It says roots, man, make your wood strong all night long. Like just stuff like that, and I'm just engaged because.
Yeah,
it's
you
like,
want that?
No, it's not even that. It's just the way you speak it. Like, bro, when I went, you talk about, I don't know when the last time you went to Jamaica was, but I went 2 years ago. How long ago?
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
I went 2 years ago, and I went on my J's, and the reason being I hadn't been for so many years.
Yeah.
I said, listen, I want to take this ball in for myself.
Yeah,
I said, I just want to do what I want when I want. I don't want people coming over with me and wanting to do this luxury break. I'm trying to really take this culture in.
Yeah.
Plotted with my uncle for 4 or 5 days. Left uncle with his dog there, Duchess. left uncle. And then like I just moved around the country, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I just moved.
Yeah. Jump on bus, bruv. Jump on a bus.
Think that far, but
See, that's how you gotta live though.
The coach bus thing.
And I jumped on the bus.
Boy.
I jumped on buses. You gotta live
my
properly,
chip would have been like, no, but I moved around. I had the best experience, like best, and I like to the point where like I was proud, you know, like I felt proud again, even though man was born here. I just felt proud, like mad proud. And it's just that experience there. Like I want to learn about those kind of things. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't want to learn. Yeah, history's important in terms of World War I, World War II, but they've been doing that same thing for World War. We're into World War I started 100 years ago, and you're still banging on. Sorry, it ended 100 years ago, and you're still banging on. Like, give me some stuff. I want to know about Powell in Jamaica. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But there's two major things in that. Just going back to your question, there's two things in that. Yeah, there's the first one, which is relevance. How relevant is it to us? Yeah. So we're doing World War I and World War II, but they ain't telling us about the Sikh soldiers that sacrificed.
Right.
They're not telling us about. They're not telling us about They're not telling us about the generation of Caribbeans who put their neck on the lines. They're not talking about They're not talking about the Nigerian regiment that went to Burma, bruv. They're not telling you that. They're just telling you. They're just spouting.
It's whitewashed.
Well, there you go. So that relevance, and then the second thing, which is a really important thing, and some people will say it's not, and some people will say it is, but it's representation. Hey, rude boy, representation.
Yeah, his story. It's his story, though. Isn't it?
My son hasn't got nothing. He's got books that are with black characters in it. That's all he has. Every time he opens that book, he's got a couple of Marley books, got a couple books from Trish Cook. Every time he opens those books, he's like, that's me. I don't coach him. I don't tell him to say that. But he sees a little boy, with a trim. When he had plaits, he was like, that's me. When he see, the little boy with rastas, he sees it, he's like, that's me. Yo, that's the most powerful thing in his 4 years of living. That's the most powerful thing that he's saying, and he doesn't even know it yet. He doesn't even. But every time he opens a book, he goes, "That's me," or he'll be like, "That's Anushka," which is his friend. Which is his friend. He'll be like, "That's Anushka," and for him, growing up, he is represented. In those books. So when it comes to bedtime, if I tell him I'm taking a book away from him for his bedtime because he hasn't been behaving or nothing, it is like World War III. And I'm like, yo, I didn't even, you know how much I love that? That this little boy here is going, no, you can't take away my freedom and my liberties. That's what he's really saying. Like, I'm exaggerating, I'm a dramatist, that's what I do. But he's like, you can't take away my liberties. Like, because that is me seeing me for the day. That is me being represented for the day. And the relevance. When he hears the little Jamaican accent, even when I do a little Rasta mouse, it's a mouse, It's not Peppa Pig. You know what I'm saying? He's talking in a British accent and it's Rasta mouse, He's talking about Montego Bay. So when I tell him about Montego Bay and I'm telling him about Montego Bay, he's like, oh, it's the same thing. This is where man comes from. So that representation and the relevance is so important. And I think those are the things, that's the reason why young people ain't reading. If I gave man a grime book and said, yo, listen, there's a book of lyrics by blah, 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 and I told him man to go out and spit that or spit a couple, 16 bars, go up on stage for your assembly, instead of reading a passage from, Animal Farm, like that was the thing that got me into reading, to be honest. But instead of reading the passage from Animal Farm, I said, go and read Wiley's book and come down and spit 1-2 bars of his, and they jumped on stage and did that. Yo,
involved.
The power of that. The power of them reading someone like my own contemporaries, Arinze Kenny, who's an actor, but the man's a bad boy writer. He's like a bad boy writer. I wrote something called Misty. If I gave them that and said, yo, I need you to read a bit of this Misty, it's basically bars.
Okay.
But it's a story.
Do you know what we had a conversation just before we got it, Dan, and like, one of the things I've been immersed in is George the Poet's podcast and George the Poet as a whole. And I went and saw him recently at London Podcast Festival, and he done like a kind of open question session at the end of his show. One of the questions that came was from this guy. He does the programming for his year group at a school in Hackney, and he said, by all due account, I'm not from where these guys are from. I grew up in a suburban area, middle to upper class. And I'm trying to, the curriculum I've been given by the government is for me to relay this to the year group any which way I see fit. But the problem I have is I'm from a white middle to upper class background in the suburbs, and I've been tasked with doing this. And it was like a plug to try and get George Poet to come down. But he kind of said, how do I make this more relevant for my multicultural and diverse students I have in the school? And I think you've hit the nail on the head in what you've said, in what you've just said, and it is relevant.
And we found out these things far too late. I mean,
too late, man.
I just remember, I don't know what year it is anyway. It was after I was traveling, but anyway.
It doesn't work unless we say it.
So it was after traveling then. And it must have been one of those, I don't want to say New Year celebrations, but it was some type of celebration. And I saw it was something to do with the war, commemorating one of the wars anyway. I saw these, I don't want to say Ghanaian guys, but I saw these Ghanaian soldiers like putting up a flag. And I was like, I was walking out the front room. And I was like, Mum, what's this? Kind of in that voice, like, what's this? And she was like, yeah, they're just like, took part in the war. I was like, took part in where? and I was like, not to get all like front. I was like, this is my land, this is my country now. I said, like, I didn't know this. So, as far as I'm concerned, this is my country too. Not that it wasn't my country anyway, but I felt a bit more, more involved. More involved.
A bit more like entitled.
Because sometimes there's a lack of you don't have any. I don't want to go down that route, but it's almost like you don't
belong.
Bro,
occasionally,
bro. When I done history lessons in school, as far as I'm concerned, my people, grandparents, so on, came over to work on the underground and rebuild Britain after the war, because before that we didn't have nothing to do with the war. Like we didn't have no involvement. That's what I was taught. That's what I learned in school, and that's what would have got me an A in my GCSE paper. Do you get what I'm saying?
Bruh, we were
real
flying
shit.
planes, man. We were flying the planes. We were building the planes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we
We
don't
on the
get taught none of that. I remember just, I guess, similar experience in school. What was his name? Mr. Lynch, our history teacher.
Lynch, what a name.
Nah, but he was cool though. He was a white brother,
irrelevant.
tall guy.
Mr. Lynch.
Teacher. And a history teacher. You couldn't make this up.
Did he wear Timberlands? Did he wear Timbs and come
Nah, he was actually a cool guy
with a
because
rope chain?
I remember actually asking him like, when we gonna do Black History? And he's like, to be honest with you, it's not on the syllabus. I would like to, but it's not on there. And he was actually being genuine. I could actually see when someone's being genuine. He was like, I genuinely would like to teach you guys about your own history, but the little bit that we get told to do is literally about slavery. We're slave, and that's it. There's nothing else.
Roots.
Literally nothing else.
Show you the video.
And yeah,
Roots.
that was our history. That was what we got taught in history. So I definitely have the same experience.
It's mad, you know. And then when I was traveling,
You can't do it, bro.
I knew they'll say that. When I was traveling,
Traveling.
like museums weren't part of the agenda at all. But I was with a group of people who I think must have went to one museum, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Oh my God.
And then you're taking in information which is a part of your culture, or there's a blend of part of your culture and stuff like that, and it just blows your mind away. And then you're encouraged to go to other museums and find out in other countries and find out what's going on, so on and so forth. Incredible.
Look, I'm trying to hit Senegal, man. Like end of the year, I'm really trying to go Ghana. To be totally honest, like I'm just glad I said this out loud now, because if I don't, you can lynch me.
The year
You can
return,
lynch
I'm in
me.
London.
Yeah,
bro.
that's what I'm saying. You can lynch me, but I'm like trying to save up my little coins and get myself out there, man. Because I'm trying to hit museums. I'm trying to hit Senegal and hit that big museum. And I'm trying to hit Washington and go to the Black Museum out there. Whether I do is another thing, but I'm trying to, man. Making that a priority at some point.
Okay. So what's the plan for Daniel over the next 12 to 18 months? We know you're working on a number of scripts. Do you want to go down the directing a movie route eventually? I know you've done music videos and stuff like that was your entry point. What's kind of the plan?
Do you know what? It's a little bit ad hoc. I just kind of leave it up to the universe, man, and see what comes out of it. Yeah. I'm making inroads to there's something that's on my mind that I really want to get out. There's a couple of things that I want to finish, but there's something on my mind that I want to get out there. And it's a musical. I'm not really into musicals that much. And I say that because I've never, I used to go to musicals and I'd be like, it's just
dead.
It's not the music that I'm interested in. It's not the people that I'm interested in. It's not the stories that I'm interested in. And that's the reason why I've always been a bit apprehensive about them. But actually, some dope musicals out there like Hamilton. There's some really dope musicals that have got people that, who come from our community that I'm like, yo, that's the sort of music that I'm interested in. How about I make one of them? So I'm on a little journey at the moment to see if I can get the rights for something that people probably will know, but essentially it's a story that comes out of Jamaica that I'd love to kind of put on. So that's, I guess, over the next 18 months I'll be working towards that. I'm doing a play in October 31st. We open. It's called Unknown Rivers.
Yeah, I'll be there for sure.
That opens up, and then I've got another play which is so important. I mean, all of those plays are important, but this play is really important and special. I'm working with the artist director of Shepherd's Bush Theatre, Lynette Linton. We're working on a play called Level Up with Malachi Kirby. He's a brilliant actor, and this is his debut play, but he's come to us and he said, look, there's something I want to do about youth violence, youth culture, and like youth celebration. And that's how we put it. So we had a little forum. We sat down with youth workers, truckers, people from all different types of backgrounds. We just talked about, the issue of youth violence and so on and so forth. And out of this, we kind of came together and came up with this thing called Level Up, which is a play essentially about a young person's life. There will be real life young people from those different backgrounds in the play, part of the production, part of the making of the thing. And we kind of tied it up with a concept of like gaming. So hopefully we'll finish that script by the end of the year, and then that goes on June 2020.
Let us know, man.
Yeah, man, for sure. You lot are all invited. I'm saying that now. You lot are invited.
we'll
Come press night.
definitely be there.
Come be part of it. Yeah, so that's what's up in the pipeline. I'd love to get back into filming as well. I've got a concept for a kind of music video. So I start off small again, but I've got a concept for a music video for a friend of mine. But I'd love to get back into film. I'm working with a production company at the moment, but it's more kind of dramaturgical stuff, which is like working on the script and kind of pulling the story out of the show that's already there.
I mean, just a moment ago, you was talking about, I guess, I don't know, something that sparked an idea in terms of having a play and it's relevant. And what came to mind was something that I don't know if they're still doing it or it's been shelved, but doing like a hip hop song and making it into a play. I know Irv Gotti was doing it called Tales, but like possibly doing something that's over here in the UK, like certain tunes. I remember, what's it on? I think it was on Dizzy's album. One of Dizzy's albums where he tells a bit of a story. Blue. I can't remember what the song was called, but in terms of turning something like that, something UK driven into a play that's like basically based around a song, but flashed out into a theatre production, would that be something that you would consider doing?
Definitely. I'm working on something at the moment called Grime Boy, which is a man, a man from Bram called Casey Bailey, who grew up in Bram, was part of the grime scene up there. He's made a couple of songs and now he's turned that into a piece. So it will feature loads of grime. You lot all know Shiro's story. Rap Man's done his thing and turned that into the Blue story as well. And I'm sure he was talking about at some point like turning some of his songs into a theatre production. So it's happening in small spurts, like I went to go see something called the Canary and the Crow, which was a man's experience of going to a posh school or going to a private school, but coming from South London, like the inner South London, kind of the hood, and so he mixes with classical music and hip hop.
Okay,
which is the two things that he basically is. So it's happening in kind of small spurts. Before, I don't know when it will become a big thing, but hopefully very soon, man.
Cool.
But I'm always interested in those things and kind of bridging the gap between our music and
wider society.
Yeah, and theatre and musicals and those big kind of monsters of the shows. Yeah.
Any more questions before I ask the last three?
No, I don't have any more questions.
Not from me, man.
All right. Well, what we do on Fully Booked Meets, I tend to ask three last questions, then we wrap it up. So the first one would be, what are the three top values that you bring to your business or where you work?
Kindness, man. Kindness is always at the top there because I think that just opens doors and allows people to understand you and know who you are. I think openness is so super important, and a hard work ethic. Those are the values that hopefully will keep me pushing and moving on in my career.
Cool. Second question. If you had 3 realistic wishes, what would they be?
Wow. 3 realistic wishes. For some sort of pluralism in this country, man, and around the world, so people that kind of accept each other for who they are and can get on board with that and allow that to just be. I'm not asking for people to love each other, although that would be great. But kind of some sort of pluralism across the world. Gosh, where does the other two fall into it now? I'm just thinking more selfishly. I would love for me more personally just to have a space in a different country, somewhere nice and warm that I can retire to whenever it gets too cold here or whenever it gets too tough, that just another space. And the third thing is that all my people elevate, man. Yeah, I'd love for that to happen across the globe as well, that we all elevate. We can all elevate.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Love that. I guess the last question being, what 3 books could you not live without?
Wow. So I've said 2 of them already, actually. So the Chimp Paradox is something that's really important. The Alchemist is the next one. And then the other one is oh gosh, it's completely Chinua Achebe. Oh gosh.
Not the Celestine Prophecy.
Nah. I've just said that there was a Savannah, but it's the one before that. Things Fall Apart.
Okay.
That book there.
Yeah.
Things Fall Apart. Yo, I can't live without that book, man.
Cool.
That book there. Yeah, special.
Well, you heard it. You heard the 3 books, man.
Just let the people and the viewers and listeners know where they can reach you out, Dan.
Yo, you can hit me on the socials. On Instagram, it's Daniel Bailey, all one word. On Twitter, it's Daniel L. Bailey. L is my middle name. And you can find me on Facebook, Daniel Bailey. Come find me in person at the Bush. I'm always there. If I'm not there, I'm at Birmingham Rep. So I'm always about, man. Yeah.
And just one last time, just let them know what's coming out, what's releasing soon for them to go and see of yours.
Yeah, Unknown Rivers at Hampstead Theatre downstairs. We've got that opens up on the 31st. We've got Level Up that opens in June 2020 at the Bush. So yeah, come be part of the movement. Come and get involved. Yeah.
Excellent.
Cheers,
Guys,
bro. Thanks for coming.
Guys, don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. And thanks again, you've been listening and watching Fully Booked.
Cheers.
It's a wrap.